Hi everybody, Rob Hunden here, CEO of Hunden Partners, and today I'm going to be talking to you about the pillars of place. Your pillars of place that when you do well on all of the pillars, you're a great place to live, work, play, and visit, and when you don't, you're not. And so how do we know? Well, Hunden has a proprietary system that we've developed to assess the quality, the quantity, the depth, adjacencies, the geographical walkability of all of these things that could make a place really wonderful, right? And so we break those down into what we call our 10 pillars of place. And these are the things in the built environment, these are things in the natural environment, and they're also just events. So it doesn't even have to be a physical thing. It could be something that happens throughout the year, dining and restaurant nodes, entertainment venues of all kinds, indoor, outdoor, culture and theater and arts and museums and things like that. Event venues, right? Convention and conference centers, sports facilities from youth sports all the way up to collegiate, minor league, and major league. Where are these located? Are they adjacent to other great things that are walkable so that you can park once and walk around and enjoy the environment? The quality of your public infrastructure and design in your community, like the architecture of your place, the architecture of your buildings, your bridges, your roads. Are there things for people to do throughout the year that are big or medium-sized events that show off who you are, your history, your heritage, your culture, or just something that you've developed over time that's a great place to be during a certain time of year? When we assess you for a placemaking strategy and master plan and tactical to-do list that comes out of that so that you're actually moving forward, right? Moving your community forward, we first have to assess it. So we have to assess how you're doing, the demographics of these folks, the psychographics of those folks. We're going to understand their dwell time. How long are they there? What are people like that also looking to do where you may have gaps in your situation? So you may have some pillars of place that are not, frankly, very pillar-esque. They may be kind of stubby. And so what do we want to do? So those are your gaps. Those gaps may also be opportunities. Well, we're also going to look around you. So not just at your city or county or wherever we're assessing, we're going to look around you to see, like, are your neighbors doing these same things? And if so, if they're doing something that you really shouldn't duplicate because that would be too much for the market. So we're going to be contextual. We're going to look at that. The other thing we're going to look at is we're going to look at your peers and your aspirational peers. So you have your communities that you kind of are like today that you may or may not know that you compete with or that you're like, but they are similar size. If you're urban, suburban, rural, it's going to be similar to you in that regard too. And sort of your growth trends as well. Are they, if you're growing a lot, we're going to compare you to places that are growing a lot and vice versa. Now there's your aspirational peers. Like if you are growing, or let's say you're not growing, but you wish you were, what are the kind of places that you wish you were like, or that you may be as big as in the next 10 to 20 years? What do they have now in their pillars of place that you could look to as a guide? We're going to assess you and your peers and your aspirational peers to show where they are in their pillars and where you are in your pillars. And we're going to show you some case studies of how you can learn from those folks, do your own authentic version of that thing, that asset or that event or that improved public infrastructure or design in your community or great architecture or experiences, whatever it is. We are going to say, hey, these folks have done this really cool thing or these cool things. You can look to them as inspiration and aspiration for what you could do next, not to copy, but to do your own authentic version of who you are, but in that same vein. Like, how can we make this, how can we bring this natural environment to more people? How can we bring in water? How can we bring in nature to an urban environment? How can we bring urban amenities to a rural or suburban or resort area because people know and want to expect those things, right? Based on their psychographics. So we're going to look at all your pillars of place. We're going to assess them deeply. We're going to show you which ones are really driving visitation and which ones are more satisfying locals. Oftentimes, the pillars and assets that are driving visitation from the outside are not your biggest destination drivers. Maybe a big mall gets the most visitors, or a big mixed-use district or an arena or something gets the most visitors, but the percentage from out of town may not be as high. But you may have some smaller cultural or historical venues or events that celebrate who you are and are unique to you only. And so those are the things that often have the highest proportion of visitation from outside the market. And so you can use those to leverage larger itineraries and also know why people are coming to visit you. So we look at all of those things. And again, we're always thinking about the concentric circles of what's great for locals is great for visitors and businesses and employees, right? So live, work, play, visit, and have a great time. We want to make sure we're stewards of that, managing that well. How can we make your pillars stronger that both make your citizens happier that they live there, better able to be proud of their place, share that place, and then attract visitors, right? When residents like something, visitors are attracted to it. If visitors are attracted to something, oftentimes locals are not, right? So what we want to do is find the ways to be the most authentically ourselves that are fun and exciting and interesting all through the year, through all of these different assets and events that make up our pillars of place, that make us happy to share who we are with others, and then others will come and help pay for those things, right? Because they're going to bring their job, their money, and spend it and generate taxes and things like that, right? These are all the things that we want to be thinking about. And so when we break down your pillars of place, which we're the only ones who do that, and we use that as part of our benchmarking and our peer analysis and comparisons and your aspirational peers, when we do that, then we have a baseline for a report card starting today and moving on, so that over time we can say, how are we doing on our pillars? Which pillars are growing and getting stronger and wider like a big tree trunk over time for our place? We will be doing that. It helps you measure yourself against who you are today versus who you were yesterday versus who you could be tomorrow. And so that's our goal, is to make ourselves the best version of ourselves we can be. Our biggest competition is a mediocre version of ourselves. So let's not be mediocre. Let's always be striving, right, to be the best version of ourselves that we can be. And so first we have to assess, then we act, right? And so that's the basis of the pillars of place, which is key to the peer assessments and case studies. And then that helps set up the strategy supported by tactics, which is a gosh darn to-do list, so that we can move you towards a better place, not just a bunch of studies, right, that sit on a shelf. We don't want to do that. We want to actually get you where you want to go as a community to be the best version of yourself. It starts with analysis, then we act. And it's covered entirely and wrapped in wisdom of 30 plus years of doing this work on the public-private side of things, tourism, economic development, elected officials, you name it, and of course, smart business practices and great policies and incentives and all of the other things that it takes to get this done. That's what Hunden Partners does for your pillars of place when we assess you during a placemaking, strategic, and action plan. Thank you so much, and keep making great places.